01. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Good evening, everyone. I will begin with Director Gould.
Present.
Director Orzali is absent this evening. Director Wood.
Present.
Sheets. Present. Rice.
Present.
Jones has not joined us virtually yet. I'm going to show her as absent for now. White.
Here.
Clark.
Present.
And President Saylor's turning it over to you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the pledge to the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for Cablecast on Metro Cable 14. Replay on Sunday, September 25th at 2 p.m. and Monday, September 26th at 6 p.m. on Channel 14. Webcast at metro14live.saccounty.net. We now have the public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within district jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers tonight?
Yes, we have Roger Mitchell in the audience with us this evening. He'll be joining us up at the podium.
Good evening, directors. My name is Roger Mitchell. I live in the Rio Linda area. And as you know, I was here at your last meeting. I'm just here as a reminder to tell you about our fundraising dinner for the restoration of Rio Linda's second fire engine. It is on October the 8th, 5 o'clock at the Rio Linda Alberta Recreation Park District office. I'd like to see all of you there if you can be there. Supervisor Frost will be there as a speaker. I believe I'm okay to speak for another world-renowned speaker. That will be Chief Todd Harms will be there. So we also have one other speaker, a pretty high up official. I've only met her once, but from the Park District era, because the Park District is working with this fire district in combination, and she loves that collaboration. So she will be a speaker also. So I think it'll be a fun night. There's some people there that will have a lot of fun with us. They're called the Keystone Cops. So I think Director Wood was put in jail once by them, and we made a little money to get him out of jail. So anyway, I'd love to see all of you there. It's for a good thing. Also, we have a company on board. As you know, we're restoring the fire engine, and we're spending some money on the station that Metro Fire owns. We have a company on board called Good Life. Some of you might know some of the people there, but they will be there in force. They're committed to raising anywhere between $750,000 and $1,250,000 to completely restore that station. And they wrote the first check for $10,000 just to show that they're serious here. So we look forward to getting, after this fundraiser, getting into raising the money for that station also. So any help you can be as directors doing that, we would appreciate that help. On a personal note tonight, I would like to thank Director Gould for the conversation we had. Meant a lot. Director Ted Woods for the information you gave me that I needed last meeting. Director Rice, boy, you and I have been friends for a long time. I remember the day you came to work. That being said, thank you for what you're doing to help with both of these projects. I appreciate it very, very much.
You're welcome.
And all of directors, I say this passionately. Yes, the station itself is in Rio Linda. It's not about Rio Linda. It's about all the predecessor districts that make up this great department. I don't know that my research is complete, but I can tell you that the engine room portion was built with World War II War Powers Act money. I don't know of another building that we own in this district that can say that. So I think that hangs up a real mantle on that building. And I think as it's completed, you'll walk in there and it's not just about Rio Linda. You're going to see pictures of all the predecessor districts in there. I think that's very, very important to this project. So with that, I'm prepared to answer any questions you might have.
Do you have any questions from any of the directors? I would
Thank
just like to say thank you, Roger, and thank you for having the old Fire Station 111 open on last Saturday at the Country Fair.
You're welcome. And I think this next year, Director, we would like to see your organization and things right down next to the station. I think the reason it wasn't that way this year, there was a thought that you might need to get out on an emergency.
Yes.
But if we put you right there and situated, it's not going to cause a problem. So we'll be there early and set you up right next to those two big front doors.
Yeah, we'll see what the planners have next year for us.
Yeah,
Because,
well, that's where we're going to put you.
okay, thanks,
Okay?
Roger.
You're entirely welcome. Thank you.
I see that Director Jones has joined us. And next on the agenda are consent items. Have any questions or comments on a consent? I'll take a motion in a second if there are none.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will you call the roll, please?
Director Gould,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Sheets. Rice,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
and Sailors.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is action items. The ratification of the resolution to extend the teleconference of board meetings, Government Code 54953E-3. It keeps us allowing us to have our meetings with Zoom capabilities and here in person. So with no further discussion or questions, I'll take a motion in a second on this item.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will you call the roll, please?
Director Gould,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Sheets. Rice,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
and Sailors.
Aye,
Motion passes.
thank you. The next item on the agenda, reports. For the president's report, I have no report tonight. Fire Chief, Chief Mitchell.
Good evening. Thank you, President Sailors. Good evening, everybody. Sitting in for Chief Harms this evening. A few items to update you on from the district. On promotions, we have congratulations going out to Benton Christensen and Hillary Smittle, who were promoted to Fire Inspector 2 effective September 1st. New hire, we have a welcome to Jake Whelan, who was hired as our Geographic Information Data Analyst effective September 19th. He just moved in. Good to see him and that position filled. For recruitment right now, we have a Continuous Quality Improvement Manager, CQI Manager, open through October 4th at 4 p.m. And then we also have a Reserve Firefighter recruitment going on open until October 14th by 4 p.m. So good to hear that as well. Meetings and conferences, the Sacramento 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb event occurred on Sunday, the 11th. I wanted to say thank you to everybody involved in planning that event and to those who participated in the climb. It was at a new venue this year. I will tell you, standing at the top of that staircase towards the third and fourth times up, it got a little humid in there, but everybody did a great job and really appreciate the participation. It's our first year back after a couple of years, so it was good to see the turnout and looking forward to that growing further into the future as we're post-pandemic. So, and then the other item on that is all three deputy chiefs and assistant chiefs, Green and Rudnicki, attended the Cal Chiefs Conference here that was hosted in Sacramento last week from the 13th to the 15th. Again, really good to reconnect with a number of folks from throughout the state. It's been a little bit since we've had that in-person contact and to build back those relationships stronger, as well as hear about what's going on in the state. So and that ends the fire chief report unless there's any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Chief. How about the operations report?
Back to me. All right. So statistics wise, we've run a total of 4,106 incidents since our last report, about 293 calls a day. So that's relatively consistent with what we've been seeing. Our fire incidents, we're at 148, about 10 and a half fire calls per day that we're seeing out there. I will say that we did have in front of the storm front that came through, we had 2 fire incidents that occurred due to the wind in front of the rain that came in. One involved a hay bale stack and another one involved a compost pile. Both of those were extended operations that our members were out there overnight doing the mop up just because of the fuel load and the inability to get a lot of water in there. So sometimes it takes a while on those. So great job to those folks. I will say the rain was a very welcome weather change as far as fire behavior goes. All of our folks that have been deployed recently on engines, as well as our members that were deployed as part of incident management team, have all returned home safely. So the good news there. And then one final positive EMS incident that we had occur back on the 8th of September. There was a 78-year-old female who had some weakness after she had fallen. She was actually playing pickleball and fell right down on her face first, striking her forehead on the ground. And even though the patient had a GCS of 15, paramedic Plotka determined the patient could have sustained some significant spinal injuries. She was placed in full spinal mobilization restriction and transported code 3 to Mercy San Juan. Paramedic Plotka also identified that her weakness was new onset and could have caused her to fall. So he advised Mercy San Juan of both a trauma and a stroke alert. So very forward thinking. For Mercy San Juan, the patient had multiple spinal fractures and significant artery damage in her spine that mimicked stroke-like symptoms. But Mercy San Juan did reach out and contact us and praised our crew's treatment and assessment, mentioning that any additional head movement from the patient without the SMR precautions could have left her paralyzed. So they did a great job. So great job to Captain John Davis, Engineer Steve Tafoya, firefighter paramedic Ryan Bridges, paramedic Arthur Plotka, and paramedic Noah Novotny on that incident. Great outcome there. So that's the end of the operations report, unless there's any questions.
Any questions from anyone? Comments? Thank you very much, Chief. Next up on the agenda, firefighters local 522.
Good evening. Since our last meeting, we had e-board this last week and we handled a lot of important business. One thing that I wanted to share with everybody coming out of that is hopefully you're aware that this weekend we have the 50th anniversary for Firefighters Burn Institute. Marks 50 years since that fiery crash that killed 22 individuals in our community, 12 of them being children. And so Joe Pick wanted me to remind everybody to come out and participate. We're so proud of all the work that Firefighters Burn Institute does. And it couldn't exist to the capacity it does without 522, but also the support of Metro Fire and everybody in this room. So please, if you have a moment, come out and remember those that were lost and appreciate all the work that's gone into ensuring that charity continues to provide the level of service and protection and care and treatment that it does to all of us. So told Joe I would share that. Also tonight at 6:30, there is a special running on channel 10, he says. I guess the group is called On Point, and they did a number of interviews from folks that are our own. Henry Ogg did some interviews, talked about just the events of that tragic day and then what took to get the Firefighters Burn Institute to where it is.
So on Saturday, the 24th, what time and where is this?
10 a.m. Downtown, and I'll get you the address. I believe that it's at city's headquarters.
City's headquarters at 5. It's at Freeport. It's
Yeah,
on Freeport.
I'll make sure that I get the address out.
Oh, 5770 Freeport.
Thank you.
Yeah, where Farrell's used to be
Wait,
anyway.
isn't it
Yes.
Fruit Ridge?
Yeah, and that's where
It's
the
actually
ceremony is
on
going to take place, right? I guess.
Oh, it's on Freeport,
Okay, it's Freeport, not Fruit Ridge.
Yeah, it's on.
across from
Freeport.
Jack in the Box.
Yes.
The public.
I can look it up.
safety
Yeah.
headquarters.
I guess.
It's the
Public
City of
safety.
Sacramento Public Safety
No,
Center.
this is way
Yeah.
more fun. Keep
I'm
going.
not pretty familiar with that site. This is 5770.
I thought I was so
Fruit Ridge
prepared, but I
Road.
didn't have the address
You
down.
know, I don't know. I drove there for about 4 years, so I think I know where it's at.
Everybody follow Walt, like Director White will get us there. Caravan.
I want to follow Walt.
It's across from the airport.
Yes,
There
from
you go.
Executive Airport, not far from.
So
Right.
10 a.m. there.
Correct. And so, and I don't know if we'll be out of here in time to catch the special that's running tonight.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be available on demand, but I'm interested to see, and Joe was pretty excited that they were putting that together and wanted me to share that with all of you. I would like to wish all of the engineer candidates well. We have a written test taking place tomorrow. This is our second opportunity for members to take the engineer's test this calendar year. It's a very important position, as all of you know. So we're excited that we have, I think, is it 31 candidates taking the test? We have a number of positions still, somewhere around 16 or 17. So we're really excited about an opportunity for folks to promote into that position to help us keep our companies open and on the road and traveling safely and getting everybody to and from incidents. So good luck to everybody. We'd also like to wish paramedic firefighter Alvarez, well, he's moving on, took a position in Roseville, as well as paramedic Hines and paramedic Zamora, who are both moving on from our single role program to other opportunities. They were, all three of them, very valuable employees, and we're going to miss them and their services. I was excited to spend some time with Jake Whelan today. He is the new GIS person, specialist. He comes to us kind of via Ventura through Boise, was an Aggie. He's very excited to be here, not just in the Sacramento area, but part of Metro Fire and 522. So we'll be signing him up tomorrow. We worked really hard when I first got into this position. That had been vacant for over 3 years. It was a mapping position that transitioned to a GIS position because of the changing need and the dynamics of that. We worked together to ensure that we could change some of the specifics to that position with the compensation, the wages and the benefits, and also the working conditions and the expectations to make sure that that was a good union job and we could get somebody here that would bring value to the men and women of this community in Metro Fire. So I'm excited that Jake is here with us. That took a lot of collaboration and hard work. We have duplicated that on a much bigger scale since that February when we worked on that. We've put in a lot of hard work to look at what the future should look like for all 522 members. I am proud of the work that we've done tonight, and I am excited that you all have an opportunity to help us take the next step, to have the tools to ensure that we can strengthen this organization by bringing great people here and keeping them here. So with that, that concludes my report, and I just thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Go ahead. I have
Matt,
a
did you mention someone's an Aggie?
Yeah, I believe that Jake went to Davis.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, for the public, can you?
Was that
define-
confusing? Did I not?
Well, I think.
He
I think
he
this
so he
is-
grew up in Ventura. He went to Davis. He got his degree there. He went to Boise, and then he came back.
So
So
no mention of the fact that he could be a
Boise,
Bronco.
yeah,
Anything like that. It's just you picked out UC Davis to
that's where he went to school.
get him to school in Boise.
Can't win.
He did
You can't
not. He
win.
just lived.
Not sure why
Not
we
everybody
need
that
know
goes
his
to
college.
Boise is a Bronco.
Yeah.
I'm sure they go to see that blue field because
I've
it's
heard it.
really
Thanks.
unique. Okay.
So, Matt, for the public, take the acronym GIS. They might not understand what that
Chief
is.
Wagner,
Global.
Global
There you
Information
go.
Specialist.
All right.
And he's an act.
And he is an Aggie, and he's
I don't
also
think so.
been to Boise.
You too.
All right, I apologize for any confusion. Any other questions?
Can you possibly get with retired Captain Joe Pick, director of the Burn Institute, and see if there would be a link available to that special? I was able to speak to him on it, and I think it would be very impactful. And if there's any way we could share the link with the members of Metro Fire and even in the public, if there was a way to link it on the website, it just would be really beneficial.
Yes, sir. I'm sure we can make that happen.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next up, committee and delegate reports. President, the executive committee reports, next meeting is to be determined. Communications Center, JPA, DC Wagaman.
Good evening, President, sailors, and directors. The governing board of SRF-ECC met today in this board chambers. During that meeting, we did receive a letter of correspondence from the city of Sacramento. Newly appointed Chief Chris Costamagna, who was previously on our board, has elected Assistant Chief Scott Williams as their primary representative, as well as Deputy Chief Mike Taylor as their alternate. So we congratulated both of those and welcome to the team. We did have two action items. The first was a unanimously accepted SHISCAP 20 funding that came from OES. They're going to be using $453,000 to replace some much needed radios as well as some computer servers. There was also an update that was unanimously approved to the GIS job description. And lastly, Chief Bear brought to our attention, he's the executive director there at the dispatch center, that he's hired a consulting firm to assist with a multi-year strategic plan, which is a step in the right direction. As you know, that there has been quite a bit of turnover at the dispatch center, and there is going to be continued leadership changes there. And I think this is a really good opportunity for us to establish a direction for the dispatch center and stick with it regardless of leadership changes. So we look forward to the strategic planning process as well as coming back before you here in the coming months to show you what this looks like in the form of an actual strategic plan. Again, they've had plans before. We've exhausted those. So it's time that we bring another at least 5-year plan to the table. So looking forward to that. That concludes my report. The board's going to meet again on October 11th here at Metro Board Chambers at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you very much for that report.
Thank you.
Next up is the Finance and Audit Committee. I will, excuse me, announce that the next meeting will be October 27th at our next meeting. No, that's the second meeting of October. Next up, Policy Committee, Director Gould.
No report.
Thank you. We now have board member questions and comments. Director Jones.
Thank you, Madam President. No comments tonight.
Thank you. Next up, if I can find myself tonight. Brian Rice, Director Rice.
Thank you, Madam President. Just for the board to know, the next two board meetings I will probably attend via Zoom. October is the most opportune time to try to get out of town for me with my day job. So I'll be there on Zoom. In between, I'd like to really a couple of things in the Burn Institute. And I think there's two people it would be good to close our meeting in memory of. I attended the Firefighters Memorial in Colorado Springs. We added one of our peers, firefighter Tammy Thatcher from the Sacramento Fire Department. Tammy was very known to a lot of us, very dear to us. She worked very hard in the arena of behavioral health. And we lost her really suddenly to a job-related cancer. Secondarily, the Burn Institute and Cliff Haskell, captain who's since passed in Sacramento Fire, we would not have the burn care if it was not for a fire captain. And the vision that he put forward, we have a brand new burn center, which I believe they're actually talking about wanting to expand and remodel. And I know that the Burn Institute will be one of the major supporters in that. But the second person that I would ask that we remember would be Gene Levine. And Gene was a Sacramento firefighter, and Gene and 6 members of his family were killed in the Farrell's plane crash. And so the whole, it's near and dear to us because we're firefighters, and it's our sworn duty to protect the public's property and person from fire. And it hits close to home when it's somebody, it hits close to home anytime, but it really gets you when it's one of your own. And lastly, I would like to call out Matt Christensen, firefighter on Truck 65. Matt is an Honor Guard member, and he was part of the Honor Guard duty in Colorado Springs and the local 522 Honor Guard. Every event I've ever been to them, there are members from across this region. They are looked to, and they really are at the highest tier in the Honor Guard world. And those members give of their time and go to events, and they do not get compensated for anything. It is a labor of love, and I don't think they'd take it. It's a calling to them. And I just wanted to make sure that I touched on that tonight. I appreciate Chief Mitchell, Bailey, and Wagaman for your professionalism, and then the contacts and the updates that I've received in the last several weeks. Thank you. That's all, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Director Sheets.
No comment tonight.
Okay, thank you. Director Wood.
No comment. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Director Gould.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brian, I think everything you said resonates in this community, and if you've lived here any length of time, you know how devastating that one particular event was for the community at So follow up on the idea of the Honor Guard. I'd really like to have those folks present here one time and educate us about some of the work that they do, because when they get called out, it's typically not about something that's really super positive. They come to show that professionalism and the reverence that goes along with some of the activities that they're involved in. But I don't think we really know enough about kind of what they do. And I, for one, would love to have a 10-minute presentation on exactly what they do. I mean, just the fact that you mentioned that they take time out of their own lives on their own dime and participating in these things needs to be praised, and the community needs to understand that. So I'd love to see something put together where we can get them here and we can hear what they do for us in the future. Because I think it's far too long since the last time we had any of them here to kind of brag on them.
You know, Director Gould, I think the person here we could make the request to and maybe ask to have the colors posted and then have a short presentation from them after, and that would really hit the mark.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Director White.
Well, first, I'd just like to congratulate the promotees, welcome the new hires, but I also wanted to mention that today, retired Assistant Chief Mark Van Brunt is competing at the Firefighter Challenge National Championships in Florida. A lot of you might not know this, but he's actually a two-time national champion for his age group. And the event itself is dubbed by ESPN as the toughest 2 minutes in sports, where firefighters wearing full protective gear race against each other in the clock through a series of 5 common yet critical fireground tasks. And to see the level of commitment that he has made, almost any Saturday you can find him training in the tower behind Station 21. And although I'm not sure I believe it, he claims that this will be his last year competing. So I want to wish him well today and also next month when he competes in the World Championships in Salt Lake City. And to just give you a little perspective, a world event draws roughly 500-600 firefighters from about 15-16 different countries from around the world to compete for the title of fastest firefighter. So he's probably in the top 0.5% of fitness in the fire service, especially for his age group. And I just want to commend him for that. And lastly, I also want to respectfully request we add one additional name to our moment of silence, and that's for former logistics technician and son of fallen firefighter John DeGraff.
Thank you, Will.
And that's John DeGraff Jr. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Dylan Clark.
No comment.
No comment tonight. All righty, that leaves just me. As usual, everyone has spoken such eloquent words and everyone has a different story tonight. And that's what I love about this board. When most of us are here, we have such great varied stories. Tonight, I'm just going to go straight to the moment of silence. Tammy Thatcher was a dear friend of mine, a sister firefighter. I worked in the city, and so the memorial that is in front of headquarters, where Jean Levine family died in the fire that day when the airplane crashed into the ice cream parlor. And then the son of John DeGraff. We shall have a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. This time, we are going into closed session. You guys don't have to stick around. We're going to be in there for hours. We are back from closed session. Are you ready to report out?
Yes,
Council Lawler?
President Sailors, I am. Are we back on the record?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the board met in closed session, agenda item number 1, to consider the workers' compensation claim involving Anthony Fink. The board voted unanimously to give settlement authority to its third-party administrator to effectuate settlement of that workers' comp claim. Agenda item number 2, the board met in closed session to consider the workers' compensation claim related to Kyle Rutherford. The board voted unanimously to provide authority to its third-party administrator to effectuate settlement of that workers' compensation claim. Item number 3, the board met in closed session with its designated labor negotiator for the employee, for the negotiations involving the employee organizations listed in the agenda. No reportable action was taken. Finally, the board met in closed session on item number 4, personnel matters, public employment for the fire chief selection process. No reportable action was taken. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Drive safe.